was a nice lift back there. But you got a lot to learn.
Crap.
You stick with me and I'll teach you a few things.
No offense, but I don't even know you.
My friends call me Sully.
Hello and welcome to Square One Games. My name is Exonovan and this is going to be chapter 3 of my brutal difficulty run for Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. And I skipped over chapter 1 and 2 because they really don't have any combat sequences. I know that chapter 2 does have that stealth section where you have to get through without being seen, and you do get like a sleeping dart gun, if you will, that you could put enemies to sleep, but I really don't consider that a combat sequence just because they don't really fire back at you with guns. It's more of, you know, just getting through without being seen, and the difficulty doesn't go up any when you're playing on brutal versus playing on like easy. So I did want to skip that so we can get into the action. Although if you are having issues with this, I do have some videos up on the channel where I'm getting certain trophies that will show you how to get through it, you know, really stealthy. But I just didn't want to cover that in the series because, like I said, I just wanted to get into the action. So we're right in chapter 3. This is at the beginning, right after the detonation sequence. This is going to be the first combat area that you get into, and it's not really that difficult. There's going to be a couple of guards here in the first initial section, and I'm going to show you how to sneak up on them and get your kills. Remember, you're trying not to shoot your gun if at all possible, just because of the ammo. You don't get a lot of ammo restock when you're playing on brutal difficulty. It's very much the same in Drake's Fortune, so you have to keep that in mind as you're progressing. Anytime you can stealth kill an enemy, I would strongly suggest doing that, unless I show you a strategy otherwise. Sometimes it's actually not the smart play to get the stealth kill because it may put you out in the open. So just keep all that in mind, and we should be able to get through this series fairly easy. I have some good strategies for you guys. So here's the first 2 enemies. I just want to get behind this log and take this guy out. Now, it is possible to sneak around either way. On this big tree right here, you can either go around the back like I did or go around the front. Either way is fine. He's going to be looking in the opposite direction. See how he's looking kind of toward that other log, so it doesn't really matter which side you go on, you're going to get this stealth kill. So just make sure you stealth kill both these enemies and pick up your ammo. Now this is the next checkpoint, and the reason why you saw a little edit right there is because I'm trying to show you guys all of the restart checkpoints that I can, because a lot of times the restart checkpoint is going to put you in a crazy position when you spawn back in. You're going to see that later on as these videos progress. So as much as I can, I'm actually restarting my checkpoint to show you guys the crazy scenarios that it can put you in. Now in this one, not so much. I just stealth killed the first 2 guys, shot the dude up top, blind fired these 2 guys as they drop down, and then there's going to be one more enemy. What you can do is sneak around the back of this tree and then use your shoulder lean mechanic and peek out around this tree. Now it's very easy for this dude to kill you, so you need to edge out slowly to get this kill, okay? A lot of times if you shoot right there where I'm shooting at, a little bit to the left, there's gonna be some leaves and then a small little gap, and if you shoot in between that gap, you can get the kill, okay? If you go out any farther than that, then there is a very good chance that dude will shoot you and kill you. And I mean, he's gonna kill you quick, but that's the best angle I've been able to find in that combat scenario to be able to get you through. Okay, so this is from your next checkpoint. You're crossing over the log. Make sure you don't progress, just hop back and ledge hang off, you know, right by the log, right to the left of the log. Make sure you're ledge hanging. You can get a great headshot on that guy, and then you can do the same thing on this guy, right? Take them out and try to get headshots if you can. Like I said, you want to conserve your ammo as much as possible. Go ahead and pick up ammo if you need it. Now, there's going to be a guy that's either going to crawl up the ledge right in front of me, or he's going to flank to the side like that. So just be prepared. It's going to be one of those 2 positions, right? I find that there's really no clear-cut way of knowing if he's going to come, you know, straight over the top or if he's going to come around the side, so just be aware of that. And then right here, this guy's always going to be looking the other way, okay? A lot of times Sully is already advancing, and he's going to be focused on Sully, and that's a great thing about this game versus Drake's Fortune. I feel like that the enemy does pay a lot more attention to the non-playable characters, and so it does free you up a bit to get through some of these combat scenarios. So this is your next combat sequence. Make sure you stealth kill the first guy. That's me being bored right there because I've practiced this area so many times. When I prep for these guides, I practice these combat sequences in so many different ways. I try different angles. So a lot of times you'll see me switching my gun like that, but that's not like a glitch or something or a trick. I know in some games if you mess with the the menus or something like that, you get different glitches. But that's not what I'm doing. Somebody accused me of doing that in my Drake's Fortune guide, but that's just me being bored out of my mind because I've played it so many times. Not that the game is boring, but when you're putting together strategies, you know what I'm saying, it can get that way. So I just stealth killed the first 2 guys, kill the guy out by the waterfall, take this guy out next. That pretty much clears the first wave of enemies, right? You still haven't reached the checkpoint yet, but the first wave of enemies is down. Now the second wave of enemies, if you just kind of post up over here, you can use that beam structure right there in front of me as cover, as well as what I'm behind right now. Especially if they flank in front of you, this is where you want to be. Now, the more they take the left-hand side of the map, which is kind of what they're doing right now, well, I guess you could call it the center left of the map, you can kind of flank out behind this rock. You see what I'm saying? So if they're more in front of you, you want to be behind the structure, right, in cover. If they're not over there, if they're not flanking you on the right, then you can do your shoulder lean mechanic and you can fire down the center and the left of the map. You see what I'm saying? So it just depends on their positioning, will determine your positioning. You can see these nice angles I'm getting behind this structure. It's really cool. Now, you got to keep in mind that with this game, it does give a blur effect sometimes to show distance, and that sometimes will throw off your shot. So just be aware of that as you're coming in and out of cover. Sometimes they'll flash around the corner and your screen will be a little bit blurry, and the next thing you know, you're being shot and killed. So as you're coming around corners, just be very careful of that blur effect. And this is your next checkpoint in the event that you die or you just need to restart your checkpoint. This is where it's going to start you off, and I did want to show this because this is a dangerous position. This is one of those examples that I talked about earlier where the game will just put you in a checkpoint in the middle of the open, and it's very easy to die. Now, the trick to getting out of this position is to kill the guy back there on the ladder first. You saw me do that, and then take care of any enemies that are flanking you on the left, or they're going to jump up on this ledge. Now, until you've killed at least 3 or 4 enemies, you do not want to leave that particular spot, because you're like, if you're doing what I'm doing now and you haven't killed all the enemies in that little wave, you're going to die immediately. You can try back rolling from this position. You can try going back over there to where we were earlier. You're going to die like every time. So make sure you kill the guy on the ladder, kill all your flanking routes, and then you want to push up to this area right here. Now, if you don't want to reset your checkpoint, or in the event that you don't die from that first wave, just come right here, okay? So it just depends on how you want to play it out. Like I said, I'm just trying to show you all the different checkpoints. It'll definitely make sense when once we get into chapter 4, because there's 3 checkpoints in that particular combat sequence, and it puts you in the it just puts you out in the open. And if you don't get to cover in a certain way, you die quickly. So I'm trying to show you all the checkpoints just so that I can get you out of some of these sticky situations that the game just puts you in randomly if you do end up dying, right? And this is just basic cover, especially if you've seen my Drake's Fortune guide. We're just doing basic stuff here. If they flank around, blind fire them. This is a great spot to get. You get a lot of good angles where you can actually shoot through that wood. And you get some great angles, some headshots, or you stay behind that piece of cover that we were in earlier, that long piece of cover right to my left. The only part about that is in throwing grenades. The great thing about this game is that the grenade splash damage is not as bad as it was in Uncharted 1. I felt like Uncharted 1 had a much wider splash damage with grenades. So if you get behind that, what I would suggest doing is maneuver to the left or the right. You see what I'm saying? Anytime you're behind cover, always be on the far left or the far right. And the reason why is because if they chunk a grenade, they're going to chunk it at you. And so if you're on the far left and they chunk it at you and you need to move, then you just go to the far right. You see what I'm saying? And you're safe, or vice versa. If you're in the center of any kind of cover in this game, then they're going to throw it at you. And then if you go to the left or right, well, you still may not be safe. You may have to be rolling out of cover, and that's not going to play well. So that pretty much takes care of chapter 3. I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys be good.